just on shipping for this event, just shipping. Like, it's crazy, boxes coming in all over the place. Huge Pelican cases that I could fold myself up and ship myself to the Bahamas. Gigantic boxes. Other vendors that we have Apple is here, Google is here, Microsoft's here, CDW is here, Meteor Education is here. And I'll talk some more about those guys in detail. Track Technology is here, and Decotech. They're doing our AV systems in the model classrooms. Again, we could not do this without these guys. Now, one thing I want to orient you guys to is we don't have a vendor hall at Bold. Are you guys with me on this? You walk by the vendor booths and you're like, should I grab that USB drive? Because then I'll have to talk to that guy. Oh, chocolate. Whoop, he wasn't looking, right? So, we don't have a vendor hall. The vendors are going to be in the Bold classrooms. You're going to be able to see them with their products in action. And we have all the things in the classrooms are priced. So you can literally walk in there and go, oh, that's cool, that's $400. Oh, that's cool, that's $300. You can see what the prices are. So be ready for no vendor hall. We don't have a vendor hall. It's in those classrooms. And so then why Bold? At Q, we do these two big conferences, right? Fall Q, annual Q, they're great. But they're kind of in that model of go to a session for 45 minutes, see a cool tool, and then kind of move on, right? It's cool, but that's what it is. So what we wanted to do with this event was do something totally new and different that had a different look and feel to it. And we wanted to be really focused on the idea of being one-to-one. Like, as presenters, we have to do this all the time. Well, I know you guys aren't one-to-one yet, but someday it would be so great if every kid had a laptop. At Bold, we're going to pretend every kid does have a laptop. So the sessions are going to be like that. But the other piece of blended is this. I started a one-to-one high school about, almost 9 years ago. And our local competing high school was telling parents that we would work with kids less because we are a one-to-one high school. You know why? Their image was that my kids would be doing AR and Scantron silently all day long. That's not what blended is. You guys get me there? Yeah. Blended means that kids have access to a device all day. It doesn't mean they're on the device all day. Blended means paper's still okay. It's just that paper is not the only tool we have. Which, if you're not in a one-to-one environment, guess what the only tool you have is? Is paper. So that's part of the blended piece. The online piece is from our faculty. You're going to see in the Lesson Builders Fair sessions. You're going to see a fine blend of great pedagogy, digital tools, and people doing things kinesthetically together. So if you came here and you think that you're going to go to sessions where you do like sit down silently for 30 minutes and do Scantrons, you're at the wrong conference. All right, that's not blended. Then also we're talking about design. So like design thinking, empathy, understanding the mission as opposed to just being a handout. Like, since I did 1.6 today, what's tomorrow? Which means Wednesday is? Yes! We're talking about experiential learning with kids and doing those kinds of things. And then we have the 2 demonstration classrooms set up, and I'll talk about those more in a second. But this is not my job. My job is not to walk by kids and take a funnel and pour knowledge into their head. Can I get an amen on that? It's not my job. My job is to create situations where kids learn. This is not my job. My job is not to take kids into the lab and put them all on the exactly same program at exactly the same time. And this is not my job. It's not my job to have an interactive whiteboard in the front that I can use with 2 hands instead of 1. Right? Because the problem with that is it's still a what model? It's 1 to many. Right? The goal is to use technology to have the kids do the work and have us give them feedback. So that's kind of some of our philosophy going into this for you guys. I like this Steve Jobs quote. This is not a super big event. There's about 190 of you guys here, right? Woo! Like, this is good. We're stuffed. Who knows what this looks like next year? Maybe this is a 500-person event. Maybe this is a 600-person event. What our long-range plan is to do 1 in the north and 1 in the south every year. So next year we're targeting the Laguna Beach area. And we have another really cool superintendent and director of technology down there that are like, yes, come in and mess up our classrooms. We want to see what you got. So if you are liking this, help us by spreading the word for next year, right? And I'm not saying I want to turn this into 1,000 people, but maybe there's more people that need to see what this looks like. So be ready for that too. Okay, so we have 3 strands today, and I'm going to explain the strands because these are kind of new. We're trying something, and Some things we're going to adjust, right? Ideation, adjust, feedback. The first one is the classroom simulator strand. So Ed and Aaron. Where's Ed and Aaron? Is that right? Oh, I'm early on that. Good job, Ed and Aaron. The classroom simulator sessions, we have Apple, Google, and Microsoft here. So like how many people have heard there is a Microsoft Classroom but haven't seen it in action, right? How many people, there's people that have heard there's a Google Classroom but haven't used it in action. Did you know Apple has Classroom now, right? So you can lock the screen and take over things and push things out to kids. So we have factory reps from all of those people. Those sessions are 60 minutes long. And the reason we're calling it Classroom Simulator is you're going to go in and do things as if you were a student. It's not a presentation. You're going to go and use the product, use the Surface tablet, use the Chromebook, use the iPad, as if you were a student. And there's an expert teacher in those rooms that's going to then deconstruct what happened from a teacher perspective. Does that make sense? And then we have factory reps here so you can ask them those hard questions about deployment and things like that. So those devices are here. Those are part of where the big giant Pelican cases came from. So that's going to be a really cool setup to see that. And maybe you're a Google School District, but maybe, it's good to know what the other groups are doing. Maybe then you can ask Microsoft, hey, what if you added this that I saw in the Google section? So you can actually talk to people and interact. And I think it's really important to know all sides of the scenario. Because you don't want to wake up someday and have a new superintendent go, we're switching brands, what do you know about this? And your answer is, nothing. So it's good to know what's out. Next is the Lesson Builders Fair. We have 20 plus insanely skilled teachers. Raise your hand if you're running a Lesson Builders Fair session. We have people like the entire HyperDocs book team here. Entire HyperDocs team. Have you heard of Ditch That Textbook? Have you heard of that book? The author is here, Matt Miller. This is the first time he's been in California on purpose. You can ask him about that later. We have amazing people like Ann Cosma, Martin Cisneros. I can't name them all because it wouldn't be fair time-wise, but it's an insanely exciting group of teachers. And they are going to do half-hour sessions for you where you basically get to walk away with a complete lesson plan that you can give to a person that wasn't here, and it'll make sense. So let me give you an example. Like, if you think teaching somebody what hamburger helper is means that you made dinner, right? So no offense to doing, I love doing, but just learning one app is making one app, knowing one app, is that a full lesson? No. So the analogy we used was this. If you're going camping, you don't just bring the cereal, what else do you need to bring?
All the things!
All the things! You need the bowl! You need the fork, right? If you want to make dinner tonight, you need some fire! So you've got to think about all the things when you go on a camping trip. You don't just need one thing. Like, you can bring the best stew pot or Dutch oven, but what is that going to get you in the end, right? It's going to get you stone soup, and that's not that good. So we're trying to plan it. We're going to give you, in the Lesson Builders Fair sessions, all the things. I think in one of Matt's sessions, he shares how to use something like 11 or 12 apps to do a cultural field trip. And it's all based on the good old Madeline Hunter 7-step lesson design. Remember Madeline Hunter? You got to have all the pieces. The order can change, the tools can change, but you got to have all 7 pieces. So they're going to share all the slide decks with you guys to take back to your schools and say, check this out. And so that's going to be a really, really good thing. And then we have the bold classrooms, the 2 demo classrooms that I was starting to talk about earlier. Decotech is here. They've set up multiple video screens in each classroom that you can control or remotely control. So kids can jack in and have one screen going, another screen going, and another screen going. The audio systems are all set up. Meteor, Sean Baum, Meteor's here. They're a furnishings company. And you guys, this is probably my biggest message for the group right now. Don't let architects decide what your furniture is. Do not let architects pick what your furniture is, because this is what they're going to do. You need to know this. Architects get paid based on the total amount you spend. What's their incentive to save you money? Nothing. You need to get connected with somebody like Sean. They're interested in the classroom environment. In fact, Sean and I were talking yesterday, and he said, if somebody orders 32 classrooms of the same 32 desks, I call them for an intervention. It's not okay. It's not okay. So Sean's going to be in both of the sessions, and all the furniture is tagged. Or if you have questions, one of my other favorite things about Meteor is they rep 150 brands. Some furniture companies, when you call, how many brands? So you can have the best of whatever they have. Sean reps 150 brands, so he's got a huge variety. And then back on Decotech, so Dave Dickstein from there he's installed them. He's got, if you wonder what that looks like, Dave's here, you can sit down and talk with him and go, how do I hook up multiple screens in a classroom to get you all dialed in? And then Track Technology Systems, that guy right there, who I think, are you periscoping me or something right now? This is Kevin Burkett. You just recording it for home viewing later?
Yes, yes.
Just show your family? Hi, Kevin's family. Kevin is the whiteboard king of the West Coast and the East Coast and the Midwest. How many people would like more whiteboards in their classrooms? Right? If you didn't raise your hand, you're wrong. We'll show you that later. But one of the things Kevin's group is demoing here is whiteboard skins. So you don't buy that whole heavy giant thing and they can go up all over the wall. So Kevin will be demoing those things. The last thing on the 2 demo classrooms is this. We're trying to not set up a classroom that cannot be reproduced. I've had friends call me and say, our architect just told us it's going to be $42,000 a room for furniture. Does anybody have that kind of money? No. So she's like, yes, I do. Okay, we'll talk. We're going to do something really cool. The idea of these classrooms is something that you can retrofit in an existing classroom affordably. That's the big idea on those. So when you walk in, it's not going to be like gold-plated everything. It's going to be like effective everything, if that makes sense. So Meteor, Sean Ballin, raise your hand real quick. Kevin from Track Tech. Is Dave in here? Oh, Dave's probably doing tech stuff in the room. So just find Dave. He'll be around. And then there's Track Tech. Again, shout out to your family, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right. Now, our designers. Okay, we have 2 classroom designers. Aaron Klein, former Scholastic top teacher. Aaron, how many Twitter followers do you have, just for fun? Like over 30,000-ish. She's a real big deal, but mostly in the Midwest. So we brought her out here to introduce her to you guys, right? She runs a website called Classroom Cribs. They do a competition in September for classroom decorations, and they give out some cool little prizes. Right on that, Aaron? Right? So check out #Classroom Cribs. And then we have the one and only Ed Campos. Ed has like, what, 700 followers on Twitter?
I like to say combined we have 31,000 followers.
Yeah, Ed has 1, so combined get 31,000. It's amazing. But if you don't know Ed, go to Ed's session. He does some amazing things with math instruction. And Ed does a thing called 360 Math. And the idea is that the desks themselves are the problem in math. It's not the colorful box. It's not the PD. It's the actual desk. So he's going to demo some 360 Math for you guys. And then I want to introduce the bold director. I use the title, Lindsay Blatt.